Welcome to Comicstorian Full Story. We create audio dramas of large, sprawling comic book storylines. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems. Today is the Milk Wars. What if the entire universe got altered and milk was what did it? As the representatives of Retcon prepare for their presentation, a voice shouts that, "Okay, you same-faced potch peddlers, let's wet our beaks and get ready to bargain." The presenter nervously adjusts his glasses, telling the man that there's no need to shout, but nevertheless, Retcon is happy to have him in their home office here in Final Heaven. In light of recent events, they have moved their business model away from broadcast to reality estate. This world that they are offering has a broad and unassailable appeal. The man at the table asks, "Is this a joke?" "Of course I'm ready." Lord Manga Khan slams his hands on the table shouting, "I am ready for the deal of my life." The presenter says that he will surely get that here. Now, allow him to introduce what they are selling today. The video on the projector screen plays, and we are taken to a small, quiet town, one of Happy Harbor, Rhode Island, a place where the milkman brings fresh milk to everyone on a daily basis. And if there is ever an issue, it would be his pleasure to make things right with the snap of a neck. Because in Happy Harbor, if you're not happy, you're not properly living. But today, something different comes to Happy Harbor, in the form of an ambulance that can magically appear out of thin air. The ambulance lands and it comes to a screeching halt, and a group of people get out. And those people are the Doom Patrol. Jane looks around asking if this is where Retcon sent their rocket. Why here in Happy Harbor? Casey tells her that she doesn't know, but what she does know is that this place is so pastel. As the group moves towards one of the houses, Casey pushes open a door and sees several bottles of spilt milk on the ground and says that no one likes dairy this much. As they walk in, they find a thing. A living thing with udders. The owner of the house runs out telling everyone that he would appreciate it if they stepped away from his grandmother, and while they're at it, get out of his home. Mrs. Fox nervously peeks around the corner, stating that she's already contacted the neighborhood watch. Intruders are not welcome here at Happy Harbor. Another voice then tells Mrs. Fox, "It's a good thing that you did. These hooligans shouldn't be here." Everyone turns back to see Lobo, or rather a different version of Lobo, as he finishes lighting his pipe. He tells them, "My name is Carl Lobo, and how can I help you?" Cliff Steele grabs Lobo by the hand, crushing it, telling him, "You best get your cardigan carton crab cake self out of my way." Lobo pulls his hand back, telling him, "Now that type of language is a big N-O before the kids are asleep." Just then, Lobo grabs Cliff and he throws him across the room. Currently at the Retcon offices, Khan tells the presenter that it's a good sell, but he said broad appeal. Earth Prime is a niche property at best. The presenter says, "Just wait until you see the heroes of this world. They have their own Trinity, who distribute our milk." Back at Happy Harbor, there's a loud crack-a-coom as lightning strikes, and as the smoke clears, Clark Kent, the milkman cracks his knuckles, stating that it looks like Mr. Lobo was right to call them in. Larry runs out of the house asking, "Hey, who do you think you are with an energy field like that?" And Vixen stands up, along with the others, stating, "We're the Community League of Rhode Island, and we are a little more than disappointed in how you've handled yourselves." Jane yells to Vixen, "We know each other. You're Maury from television. This isn't the real you. This is what Retcon wants." At that second, the spirit inside Larry breaks free, knocking everyone to the ground, and he flies off. Inside the house, Lobo says, "You're ruining good people's yards." That just about does it. Cliff uppercuts Lobo into the air, and as he comes crashing down into the ground, Lobo says, "We're having some kind of a strange block party here." Back outside, Clark lifts the ambulance, shouting, "I will destroy this degenerate party bus." Casey calls out to him, stating that she's only going to tell him once, "Put it down." Clark puts the ambulance down and flies in to attack Casey, but she dodges his attacks. As he swings, Casey begins to state that she can really do this all day. She's always early, and when he gets tired, they can talk. Clark yells, "There's nothing to talk about. Strangos like you in a world no one wants. Now I'm gonna turn it back and save it." Casey says, "Maybe we want that. We didn't get to choose who we are. Hell, I'm a comic book character cooked up in the back of a living ambulance. Everything's strange, and that's okay." When she opens up her eyes, she sees a train station as the train pulls up. The doors open and a young girl with paint stands there, and Jane says that it's good to see her. It's been a while. The young girl tells her that it's good to see her. Well, not that she's complaining, but she's pretty sure there's a war going on out there. All she does is make paintings sizzle, so why? Jane tells her that that's the question, isn't it? Casey mentions that she's a comic book character, so maybe everyone else here is too? As Jane opens up her eyes again, everyone begins to see themselves in their comic forms, the things that they've done, the things that they've accomplished over the years. The pages of the comic books fly around Clark, and he asks, "Who is that?" Casey tells him that's Superman. He's a part of your story and he helps people. Clark looks at the page telling them, Retcon sent me here and raised me to protect family interests. I knew that wasn't right, but I don't remember, but I do. I was never actually a baby. I was just here, born from nothing. Casey stops as her heart pounds and she says, that can't be. The only person who's given birth to nothing is, no. Retcon acquired it somehow. You're my son. You're mine and Terry's son. A voice then says that if that's really her son, then there's a lot of explaining to do. Casey looks back and sees Dinah, along with the rest of the Justice League of America, back to their normal selves. Clark tells them, you all look so strange. Don't look at me! Don't look at me! He screams, blowing everyone away from him, and a second later, he rockets off into the sky. Ray creates a light telescope, stating that was superluminal speed. His trail cuts off once he passes the moon. And then Ryan begins to scratch his face, stating, so, what are we all doing here? And for that matter, who are you people? Jane says that they're the Doom Patrol, and superhero fights really are not their kind of thing. Dinah tells her that she thinks she remembers them from a long time ago. Didn't someone have a purple kid's toy on his head? Kinda hard to remember anything. Jane goes on stating it's because Happy Harbor has been adjusted, along with all of them by Retcon. Somewhere, everything that they do is entertainment for beings beyond their conception. The Retcon used to control the programming, but once Doom Patrol shut them down, they started selling their reality cheap. They're using milk and people like Milkman Man to homologize and sanitize everything. Suddenly, the being that leaped out of Larry zaps back into his body, and Larry leans up asking, how'd we do? Ryan says that his memory's foamy, but he almost can remember it now. Milkman Man showed up at the sanctuary and forced them to drink that milk stuff. Just then, something begins to appear in the sky and there's a loud zeep, and a small little eyeball drone appears. It scrambles to get in the center of everyone and then it starts to project an image. The person in the image explains that his name is Cave Carson. 24 hours ago, him and his friend Swamp Thing discovered the home office of Retcon, an extra-physical corporation that manipulates Earth. However, he only had a few seconds, so he's sending this eye out to sites where Retcon's quantum adjustments are dense. The eye knows how to find him. They have to meet but before he could finish, the transmission cuts off and fades away. Jane looks at Dinah and tells her that this isn't over. But it's not over, not the Justice Leagues. They've been through enough. Dinah asks, are you kidding? If you're going after Retcon, the Justice League is going with you. Lobo throws his armor on Cliff, and Cliff says, tight quarters with this dollar store monkey, why not? And Lobo says, don't come flatter yourself with this tinflake frag. And with that, Cave's mechanical eye begins to get ready and fires a beam, taking the Doom Patrol and the Justice League to their next stop of the mission, the Milk Wars. Once upon a time, there was a poor little girl whose mother lived far away, and her father, well, he didn't live at all. The girl was sent away to a dark and lonely place, and this place was a place where raw matter was turned into monsters. The girl broke the shackles of that place and she ran away, but the monsters had already burrowed deep within her bones. And in current day Gotham, Violet and her mother sit for a cup of tea, and Violet tells her mother that she kind of lived that story, there's no need for a recap. Violet's mother pours the tea, telling her, yes, but sometimes we forget. Now, it's time for our tea. Violet begins to bring the cup to her lips, and then she hears a faint cry for help. She looks down at the tea and begins to see the faces of all of the others that she left behind that night, and she slams the cup down onto the table. Violet's mother says that it seems that she hasn't forgotten. The cup certainly wished that she had. Violet rubs her head, stating that she'll buy another, but she's just really not in the mood for fairy tales. Her mother begins to clean up the mess, telling her Gather House is back. So there, a different kind of story. And later that night, Violet begins to suit up to Mother Panic, thinking how she's been hunting the people who built that place for what they've done to the kids. It's been 10 years since the place was burned to the ground, but her mother knows things. And if she's right, well, just better pack some matches just in case. As Violet arrives at where the old facility once stood, she finds that it's been rebuilt and seemingly well kept up for being abandoned. She gets closer to the door and she sees a note, and written on it is, a land flowing with milk and honey. She rips the note off and she storms in, and she finds party decorations set up throughout the halls. She asks, what the heck is this? And then she yells, heck, the right word won't come out, like she's being censored. Suddenly, there's a sound of many feet running around, and Violet feels her cape being pulled on and several kids shouting, halt! More costumed kids arrive, and they all point guns at Violet, telling her that she is now the prisoner of the Holy Sidekick Choir of Merciful Justice. She puts her hands up, asking, so, do you plan on shooting me? And all of the kids burst out laughing, stating, of course not, you silly Billy Goat. You've been blessed. She thinks back to when she once was here and knows that whoever is running this place now is still using kids as fodder. The kids begin to pull Violet to follow them, and as they arrive at the chapel, a priest continues his sermon. The priest then stops, calling out to Violet, telling her, "We are blessed to have you join our service today." Violet looks up and says, Batman? And Bruce tells her, No, I'm Father Bruce, the shepherd of this flock. Welcome to the house of milk and honey. Violet says that he can call it whatever he wants, but it still looks like the Gather House to her. And Bruce tells her, Gather House was a den of sin. This is so much more than we've ever could have dreamed of. You have nothing to fear from Mother Partake. Mother Partake then holds out her hands, dripping milk into small cups. And Violet asks, what kind of drugs does she have to take to witness this? Violet then says, wait, if you're a priest, why are you still dressed like a Batman? And Bruce tells her it's because bats are mammals. Mammals produce milk, and few mammals also have wings to bring them closer to heaven. Now come, let me show you our grand machine. Bruce leads Violet and the children into the lab, and Bruce then explains that this is where we rewrite the children's past to help guide them to a new future. Violet looks around, seeing a machine where the children are standing, and once the door shuts, it zaps them, and they come out as a costume sidekick. The most recent of the kids to enter all shout, "We're here to fight in the war against Christmas!" Violet says, whoa, you're brainwashing these kids. It's the same thing as before. And Bruce tells her, oh no, some verses may seem familiar, but this hymn has never been sung before. The milk in the machine took away my own pain. A figure came to me offering milk and salvation, and after one sip, I knew that I had to become a priest of the milk. Violet tells Bruce, you know this doesn't make any sense, right? You're happy that your parents were murdered? And Bruce tells her, it's not, they didn't. It's all worked out in the end though, right? Mother Partake takes Violet's hand and walks them over to the machine, telling her that she'll be next. And just as the last child goes in, Violet looks at her and tells her, no, I know you. You've saved me twice. I've been through more than any kid should have to deal with. The door to the machine slams shut, and after another zap, a young child jumps out yelling, Fennec Fox is here to join the fight. Violet yells, no heckin' way! And she leaps in to punch Bruce. Bruce deflects the punch with the holy book of bat manners, and he knocks Violet down, telling her, you must be reborn with the milk. How else can your life be made whole? The kids all begin to surround Violet, and as one gets closer, she grabs the gun, taking aim at Bruce, telling him, it all stops now, no more experiments. And Bruce asks, would you really shoot your own father? Again? Violet says that they'll find out, and she pulls the trigger. The shot goes straight through Mother Partake, shattering her glass-like body, spraying milk everywhere. The milk hits Bruce, and everything begins to melt away as he screams. And she says, okay, this is really heckin' weird. Also, can't wait until words work again, but is everything okay? Bruce stands back up as Batman, telling her, we need to get the children away from here. Bruce then heads into the next room to gather the children, and Violet says, yeah, you do that. I'm gonna do what I always do. And she kicks over a pew. She walks over to the candlesticks and takes one, stating that she's going to burn this all down. And a short while later, after the building is set on fire, she walks out to where the little girl was from before. And Batman tells her, I'll make sure that everyone gets home safe. As Violet turns to leave, the child pulls at her cape, and Violet says that she heard the hero. The young girl says that she is now her hero. She wants her to stay with her. Later that night, back at her apartment, the young girl asks, so I live here now? And Violet tells her that they'll figure this out in the morning. The little girl shouts, I can be your sidekick. I want to hurt the bad people and make them bleed and die. And Violet says that she doesn't want that. Now, go to bed. The next morning, Violet returns to her mother's garden, telling her sorry for being late. It was kind of a weird night. And Violet's mother tells her that she's read the leaves. She was needed elsewhere. Violet tells her that she's needed right here. Her mother then looks up and says that they have company. She should go do the dishes. She turns around asking who, and that's when she sees Batman in the tree. And she simply says, oh, heck me. Batman jumps out of the tree, telling Violet, we need to talk. And Violet's mother says, oh, it's Bruce Wayne. It's been so long. Still the same sad little boy. Bruce is shocked by the remark, and he simply asks, magic or metahuman? Violet says that she's still trying to figure that one out, but what the heck does he want? He holds out a small mechanical eye, stating that this eye belongs to Cave Carson, an old acquaintance of Superman's. It came with a message requesting all hands on deck, and Violet tells him, oh no, she did her part, she's not a hero. But Batman tells her she can make all of the excuses that she wants. Maybe she'll even believe them, but she's connected to all of this. The milk imprint was shaped by her memories. He saw what she did with those kids. It wasn't the first time. Whatever she's trying to do, her efforts made Gotham a better place, and let's keep it that way. She says, fine. Let her say her goodbyes then. She hugs her mother, stating that she loves her. And her mother says, of course she does. Now go stop strangers who don't belong before they spill the coffee again. Batman heads back inside, and Violet says that, does he know how to use that thing to get them wherever they're going? And Batman holds out the eye, stating that if his readings are correct, than cave may be. But before he can finish, the eye begins to suck the two of them into a portal, and Rosie, the child that Violet rescued, shouts, "Wait!" As she leaps over the railing, she's followed up by being sucked into the portal as well. As Diana relaxes in her milk bath, she lets out a sigh of relief, stating how her mother told her that she couldn't bring paradise to the mainland. But this is paradise. And this story isn't about Diana the Wonder Wife and her life in the Hall of Moms. This is about Shade. Or at least, the different versions of Shade, specifically the happy version. Diana sits up from her bath telling Happy to give Mama the thing that makes her happy. Happy begins to rub Diana's head and she says that she can't help but feel that something is off. Like her world is made up of only one feeling, and she's not feeling that feeling right now. Before long, Diana begins to hear her baby cry and tells it that it feels good. It makes her happy. This will make her world happy. This will make Steve happy. The baby continues to cry, so Diana has Happy bring over the baby. It's milk time. As Happy goes to get the baby, Sad wraps Diana in her towel, and Happy hands over the baby, which is a dustbuster. Diana brings the baby to her chest to feed, and Happy begins to think that she knows that Diana was built for more than this. More than a leader about what they should feel. Wait, did she just think that? Where did that thought come from? Wonder Wife. There must be battles other than the emotional kind or the domestic that they can win. Later, as Happy lends to the household chores, Sad begins crying because being sad is never any fun. Happy begins to mop up Sad's tears, telling her that she's going to hurt herself with all of this weeping. It's bad for Wonder Wife. And as Happy pushes the mop, a small mechanical eye crawls up her hand and latches on. Happy yells, "Ouch!" and she reaches her hand, throwing the eye into the bucket of water, thinking that she just needs to go about her day and not trouble Wonder Wife. Happy then takes the bucket of dirty water to go drain and thinks, what is happening to her today? Why is she feeling these things that aren't happy? There's a word for what she's feeling. Is it angst? No, it's not a thing. If she had poetry, it would address this feeling. Wait, what's poetry? As Happy gets closer to the closet, the eye from before shines a light onto the door, and within that light, it shows the door chained shut and the word danger written onto it. But what is that door? She's never seen it before. She'd better report this. She reaches out, putting her hand on the door, asking, what is she doing? That's right, putting the mop away. She's always happy to do her job. Happy heads into the closet to drain the bucket, and as she does, the eye jumps out, and Happy asks if it's a rat. The eye shines a light onto Happy's eye, and she begins to see Diana, but different, not as Wonder Wife. Suddenly a voice calls out to Happy, and Love tells her it's time for milk. She loves the milk, and the milk loves her. Happy tries to say that she saw a rat, but Love tells her no, there was nothing there. You're just hungry for the milk. Happy goes back to the living room to have her milk, and as she watches the TV, the characters on the TV, Rita Farr begins talking to her. Rita asks her where is her honey. She has to think, and then Rita comes out of the TV. Happy shouts, asking who is she? She doesn't have any honey, and Rita tells her honey is what makes her happy. Remember your heroes. Happy asks the other if they have any honey, and Angry tells her, holy crap, there's no honey, only milk. Stop wrestling with yourself because it's getting annoying. Happy looks back at the TV and says that something is not right here. But before she could go on, Diana comes in telling everyone to come on. It's feeling o'clock. Time for the women's rally. Happy tries to control herself and she ends up knocking over the bottle of milk on the table. Diana runs her fingers through the milk, stating that something has happened to her. She doesn't like when things are out of place. They need to fix whatever it is. Wait, why is she thinking about cleaning up in here? What is this? Is this her job? And as Diana sucks the milk off of her finger, she says, she knows this place now. Milk makes everything all better. Diana then leads the girls out and says to keep it up, Shade Force. We have errands before the rally. I've got to get Steve the things that he wants. Happy asks why doesn't Steve get the items himself, and Diana shouts, what is with you today? You're making me mad when I'm supposed to be glad. As everyone walks through the door, Happy stops by the door that she saw before, now covered in flies. She asks if something dead back there. Love tells her that she doesn't see anything and they need to go now. And Happy looks down, seeing maggots and then the cybernetic eye from before. However, before she can reach for it, Love pulls her away. Suddenly, Happy's vision changes as she sees herself, but with all of her emotions. Happy blinks and looks at the posters of Wonder Wife and begins to see something else, like these posters of Wonder Wife in a different life. Later, Diana takes the girls out to do their errands and attend the women's rally, and when they get home, everyone gets ready for the Tupperware party. While they wait, Love asks Diana if she could tell them a story about love, since Bupperware is all about love. Diana remembers it all. The day that Steve came to Paradise Island and she pulled him out of the water. She knew that she was his bride. Happy says, wait, she's heard that was all lies. There's a different version and she has to remember it. There was a great war, a world war, and they had a job to help humankind from destroying itself. Diana tells her no, she married Steve and she couldn't have been any happier. Wait, were you saying milk? Diana knocks Happy down, and before Happy can get back up, she sees the eye from before display the message, need your help. Diana shouts, that's right! I get angry at the food and the love and the feelings that I prepare for Steve that are getting spoiled, but thank goodness for Bupperware! As Diana opens the lid to one of the Bupperware containers, the eye from before crawls out, and Happy shouts they can't let it get away! Happy pushes Diana out of the way to grab the eye, but before she can, Diana grabs her and says that this does not make her happy! You're supposed to make me happy! Diana then throws Happy against the wall, creating a hole, and Diana tells her that she needs to behave. Now they need to feed the babies! While the others grab the babies, Happy sees the eye crawling on the floor, and then sees it run into a crack. She turns around seeing the poster of Wonder Wife, but it's covering another picture. She begins to pull apart the wall to get in, and as she reaches in, she grabs the eye. And Diana looks at the wall asking what is in there. It would make her happy to know. What she sees is a set of embraces, a tiara, a lasso, and Happy says that it's a clue. Soon, all of Happy's emotions begin to combine back into one, and Diana pulls her out of the wall and onto the ground. Happy puts her feelings into the eye, telling it to go, and Diana punches her, telling her to give that to her. Diana then grabs for her golden vacuum, shouting that she doesn't want things to change. She is Wonder Wife! She is their domestic feeling goddess! And after hitting Happy with the vacuum, Happy binds Diana, telling her, no, you are Wonder Woman. Diana yells, I am every woman! And just then, a wave of feelings begin to flood out, and Diana asks how she could forget. Every woman plus every woman equal Wonder Woman. Diana grabs onto Shade, the changing girl. Shade is who Happy truly is, telling her that she is so sorry that she had forgotten. It all seemed so real. Shade tells her it's a good thing that she's a reality rebel. Now their ride is here, and there's so much that she needs to tell her. Diana says that's okay. There's work to be done in a world to save. As Happy begins to place her into the eye, Shade joins her on the inside, and Diana says that it's good to be back. Shade tells her that the world needs her to be wonderful, so let's go save it from this milk madness. It was another day in the retcon offices as Chloe began to make her rounds, making sure that all of the staff had their milk for the day. As she stops by her father Cave's cubicle, he takes his carton of milk and he gets ready to drink, but his stomach begins to rumble as he puts it down. Chloe tells Cave that he needs to make sure that he drinks his milk, and another voice shouts that it's because it's good for you. Chloe turns around, throwing her hands in the air, asking security guard Jake if they're under arrest. And Jake says, well, she is blocking the aisle. But he'll let it slide. Even the chief of security needs a lunch break. You in? Cave tells him that he's not sure if he's hungry, but he could use a break. Later, as the three of them head over to the cafeteria, Chloe and Jake begin to eat their lunch, and Cave begins to sweat, stating that he's not feeling too good. Just behind them, a woman goes to drink her milk, and a small cybernetic eye breaks out of the carton and begins to crawl all over the woman. The eye then jumps onto Chloe, and while everyone is distracted, Cave gets up and runs over to the salad vending machine and begins to get handfuls of greens. After stuffing himself full, he begins to throw it all back up, except the greens begin to grow and they begin to spread. Vines begin to grab onto people, and as Chloe tries to help the people who were grabbed, she stops to see the vegetable versions of herself, father, and Jake. The three vegetable people begin to talk amongst themselves, and Jake the vegetable says that whatever they're going to do, they'd better do it fast. One of the people who are grabbed by the vines begins to talk, stating that it was a clever plan. Humans are so very, very clever. We were supposed to keep you here until the boss came back, but now it looks like it's time for me to punch out. Pleasant dreams. As the vines tighten, it squeezes the man's head until milk sprays out, and Swamp Thing rips the man apart, stating, "Hello, old friend." Jake grabs a fork, shouting over his radio that they have a code 3, but as Swamp Thing begins to grab him, he squeezes the milk out of him. Next, he does the same for Chloe, and Cave tells her that it's okay. Swamp Thing is getting the crap out of her system. She leans back up, asking why is she wearing a sweater vest and what have they done to her? Cave then asks Swamp Thing what was he doing living in his stomach, and Swamp Thing tells him that he was only doing what he was asked to do. He had called him to help identify this mysterious building, far from the settlements of man. It was poisoning the ecosystem. It was here that he heard of the Dreamers, tortured souls trapped inside of this building, and they were trying to free themselves from those called Retcon. Just then another Retcon employee breaks down a door shouting that they must kill them. Cave jumps into the vents and Chloe asks what about the others, and Swamp Thing gives Chloe a flower stating that she needs to go. With that flower, he'll be able to locate them later. After a bit of crawling, Cave, Carson, and Chloe locate an abandoned building with mounds of papers stacked everywhere. Cave hops down, letting his cybernetic eye go through the system, and he begins to get the records of how Retcon has been creating stories as old as time, all to promote truth and marketing the Retcon way. But the more that Cave looks, the more that he realizes that Retcon is selling everything, including their dreams. What is Milkman Man doing here? Just then, Chloe shouts, and as she runs back, dozens of little figures begin to chase after her, and she yells, asking if he's seeing this too. The figures begin to overrun Cave, and as he picks one up, it begins to crumble, revealing a fleshy inside. Cave rushes the one that he's holding, and then there's an explosion from out of the vent, and it begins to rain green liquid, and as Swamp Thing begins to pull himself back together, he says that he told them that he would find them. Chloe says that's nice, but what about Jack? And Swamp Thing points up, and from the vents, Jack jumps out shouting that what they're looking at is the brand new Wild Dog. Together with my team of Growlers, we're gonna end this. Cave and Chloe begin to fight off the Growlers, and Swamp Thing punches Jack in the face, knocking off his mask. It sparks, it cracks, and Jack asks, what the hell? Where am I? And Cave says, don't worry, you're back now. Cave then says that he found out where they need to go next. These people have been dealing with what may be monsters, but they have a sense of humor. Cave leads everyone to human resources. A giant machine is filled with hundreds of humans siphoning off their thoughts. Chloe asks if they're alive, and Swamp Thing tells her, not in the way that they should be. Swamp Thing sits down stating that there are so many voices, too many emotions going on at once. And Cave asks, what are they gonna do to shut this down? And Swamp Thing tells him, perhaps you can join me in the psychic plane to help decipher this message. Swamp Thing creates a small bundle of flowers and Jack burns them, allowing everyone to breathe its aroma. Everyone closes their eyes and they begin to see the people within the machine, all of them authors and artists, all of their emotions crying out in pain. Retcon is using their creativity to fuel the process of milk brainwashing. It's art killing art, and all of them stating, kill us. At that moment, Cave reaches down to unplug the machine, and as he falls to the ground, he begins to speak to his cybernetic eye. 24 hours ago, the Earth element known as Swamp Thing and I discovered the home office of Retcon. This is the message that has been spread out throughout the multiverse back to the home world for Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. Seconds later, everyone gets back up to their feet, and there's a bang coming from one of the doors. Cave pushes his eye back in, and Jack says that if Swamp Thing can grind up all of the dead bodies here, he can make a fertilizer bomb that'll put an end to this. Cave gives him the thumbs up, telling him it's a solid plan. Let's end this nightmare. And once Swamp Thing pulls all of the bodies into a container, he grinds them up. Jack uses a small explosive to then blow up the entire server room. And Cave then hands his cybernetic eye to Chloe, telling her to listen closely. They need to get out of here. Everyone needs to stay back and make sure that nothing is left. Chloe says that he can't, it would be suicide, and Cave says that she needs to trust him. He's given the cybernetic eye instructions on what to do. Now get out of here with Jack. Swamp Thing grabs a hold of Chloe and Jack and jumps out of the hole in the wall, telling him, good luck, my friend. Cave says that he won't need it. He'll see them soon. And as they leave, he sighs, stating, please forgive me, Chloe. He turns back to the door and he opens it and walks into a group of monsters all looking at them. All right, take me to your leader. But now that we know how it all began, now we know how all of the heroes came together, we know what Milk Wars is. Let's end this story. Deep within one of the Retcon closets, a scream can be heard as Cave Carson is shot in the shoulder with a thin beam of light. Milkman Man tells Cave that he knows that he sent his eye off before he was captured. He will ask again, where is it? And how long do you think you can last against Retcon's Superman? Cave groans in pain and he says that he's known Superman for a long time. But if there's one thing that he taught him, it was to never give up. They can do this all day. Milkman Man focuses the shot, cutting into Cave's ear, telling him, I know I'm a bad copy, but I'm their bad copy. All I am is lies marketing in the Retcon way. Milkman Man grabs Cave by the other ear, shouting, where are they? Where did Swamp Thing go? And how did you free the Dreamers? How did you even find Retcon? Cave tells him it must have been a fortune cookie, and Milkman Man's eyes begin to glow red. He says, I could kill you 1,000 times, adjust it and do it again. Escaping is hopeless. But just then a small object shoots into the room and Milkman Man catches it, asking, what is this? He looks at the cybernetic eye and Cave laughs, telling him, it looks like I have something in my eye. At that moment, the JLA and the Doom Patrol materialize out of the eye, destroying everything around them, pushing Milkman Man away. Flex grabs onto Milkman Man, and Milkman Man asks him, can't you weirdos stop following me? You shouldn't have come here. You saw me cry! I was a retcon copy, born of a blank reality shattering infant. And Jane shouts, that's why we're here to help you. You're as much of a victim as any of us. Milkman Man says, you came to see me sink even lower than Happy Harbor. I'm not the victim. He rushes to punch Cave, but his punch is caught, and Diana, Wonder Woman, tells him that there is no shame in being manipulated, but there is strength in surviving it. Milkman Man shouts for her to let go, and Diana says no. He deserves to be loved, not on the whims of a selfish conglomerate like Retcon. Please, let us help you. As the two struggle for power, Milkman Man says that he doesn't need help from a Greek centerfold. I've got all the help that I need. The Retcon brand. Just then the walls are destroyed as giant rampaging monsters burst in, roaring, and meanwhile, upstairs in the presentation room, Khan is hearing all of the noises, and he says that it sounds like they've got some ants in the walls. This is a discount discourse. Hardcore haggling. Why should my client buy Prime Earth when it's clearly running wild? Are you selling me a lemon, Retcon? The presenter says that is not the case at all. They have a failsafe for just these kinds of situations. Back in the closet, Diana fights with Milkman Man, and he asks, where's your husband? The men need to talk about what you're doing. And then another voice calls out to Milkman Man, son. Milkman Man stops in case he tells him, just wait, it's me, your mother or father, depending on how you look at it. But you know it's the truth. You don't deserve any of this. Me and Terry didn't know that we could have had you. You should be loved no matter what. Over in the presentation room, more shaking and rumbling can be heard, and Khan says that he knows of the brow quiver. This is my favorite part of the deal. Desperation. The presenter stands up and shouts, I have a counteroffer. If you and your client sanitize this infestation, we'll consider Prime Earth paid in full. Khan says that he'll make a call. One moment. While the fighting gets closer, Khan makes a call and then he hangs up, and the presenter asks, how about it? Khan shouts, it's been decided. Sorry, champ. Negotiations are over. No sale. We have way bigger problems than spilt milk. As the noises get closer, Diana punches a monster from before into the presentation room, and the presenter shouts, for the love of, they're coming from all sides! We're trapped in here. We all know what we have to do. Bring out the ultimate failsafe. Everyone knocks out the giant monster, and Cliff says, all right, you press shirts punks, your daily shows are over. The presenter reaches into his pocket, telling him, that's tough talk coming from a copy, but I have something that's gonna fix this up right now. The presenter pulls out a small device and tells them that this is the ultimate refresh button for all of the multiverse. If you get any closer, I'm gonna wipe Prime Earth out like a magnet to a hard drive. One of the presenters tells him, hang on, that thing's supposed to be a deterrent, not actually used. And the presenter grits his teeth, telling the other person that if they can't sell Prime Earth, no one can! And he presses the button. Back downstairs, Casey sits with Milkman Man talking about his life, when they suddenly notice the world around them is burning and it's fading away. Casey asks what's going on. It's like everything is burning away at the edges. And Milkman Man says, Retcon is liquidating their assets. Casey then asks, so if they couldn't turn people, they're just gonna end the world? And Milkman Man tells her, no, nothing that small. They're ending everything, the entire multiverse. Casey gets up telling them to stop this somehow. And Milkman Man holds her hand telling her, no, this is it. This is the end, and I've never seen anyone naked. Back at the presentation room, Shade looks at the burning spots and says that she didn't think her second death would be so plush and mundane. The large presenter shouts, you've lost your mind! And the first presenter yells, no, he isn't the only one who hasn't. Prime Earth is way past its sell date. Batman tells them, reality is popping like a balloon over a candle. This is beyond anything that we've ever faced before, but we have someone for this. All of your life, you fought the mystery with truth, and now it's time to fight mystery with mystery. Muscle mystery. We need Flex Mentallo. Flex tells him, I'm flattered and all, but I'm just a superhero that's too in love with my own ridiculous body. I flex my trap and a bomb becomes a niche. Pulse my lat and the pentagon becomes a circle. But saving reality itself, I'm not sure anyone can flex that hard. Batman places his hand on Flex's shoulder and he tells him, and? So Flex goes on telling him, there is enough power. One so dangerous that I've never used it before. Inflation intensity. Vixen yells, whatever you need to do, flex or inflate, do it hard enough to hit that reset button. Dinah then says, more like defibrillate reality, really. Everyone begins to focus their energy and they give Flex all that they can, and they inflate everyone so that they can give reality the shock that it needs to repair itself. Suddenly, they hear life being shocked and everything begins to turn white, and with that, the world begins to rebuild itself. Pages start to be written. There's another though, on the outside of everything, and her name is Rita Farr. Rita pulls herself into the strip with the rest of the JLA and the Doom Patrol, joining the comic universe, and then there's a loud bang. Adam looks around, and he asks if anyone else here is having a really weird day or is it just him? And Dinah tells him that he's right. It's like when you dream and you wake up 4 seconds before the alarm is about to go off. We were just in a fight, weren't we? Jane then says it's like half memories that don't quite fit. Like Rita there, she wasn't in any of the memories. But that's not true, right? Rita tells everyone that she's been here since the beginning, but whatever's happened, her memory of it is just as elastic as the rest of her. There was Retcon, a reality real estate corporation. They wanted them all to be the safest, cleanest versions of themselves, all to make it easier to sell. And Casey asks, so that means we won, right? The world around us is still strange, but so are we. Another voice tells them, things sure are, and some of them are stranger than others. Everyone looks over to see Cliff, no longer the robot man, but a human version of himself. He goes on stating that he doesn't remember much, but he knew that he was fake. And whatever the who he was, Robot Man's realer than dirt now that Retcon's out of the picture. Diana sees Casey walk alone. She tells her that her team fought well. And Casey looks up with a partial memory, telling her that she feels like there's something else. A sad voice. She thinks that she may have had a child, but it's all nothing. Diana reaches out and says that the holes in their hearts cannot be named, but they may always have to find ways to fill them. Casey tells her thank you for her support, and with that, everyone looks out at the ocean, not realizing that now, the Milk Wars are officially over.
And there you have it, today's full story. I hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell right here on this channel, as it will only ever be receiving full stories from the other channel. And if you want to see the videos as they come out, make sure you go check out the Comicstorian main channel, where you get 5 days of videos a week. I'll see you next time.